Would anyone like to share any daily practices they have for peace?
Daily practices for peace.
Currently at the moment, gym, but...
All right, nice to exercise, for sure.
Yeah.
Meditation is a work in progress.
Yeah.
So,
I got the three M's. Mindfulness and
wait, let me guess it.
meditation.
Okay.
Oh, go.
Mindfulness, meditation.
Yeah, that's just one M though.
Oh, that's all one M?
Yeah, that's one M. Yeah, meditation's one M. Yeah.
Mindfulness, okay. Movement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Mantra.
Mastery. So mastery of a skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would that be? Like your
Writing, reading, speaking. Obviously, now videos have become one. Yeah.
So what I've been doing every day, which has been helping with the mastery, I've just been speaking to the camera. But
Yeah,
like, I don't
that's
post
100.
it. I feel like
Yeah.
if you post it, then you're putting it out there. But just speaking to the
100%.
camera actually
Makes a
being
huge
able
difference.
to,
I think video
communicate.
journaling is so underrated.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was telling him yesterday, but I was going to try to make an app that is proper video journal, full growth.
That's a sick idea.
Because like I feel like there are many video journals where you just document
Your
you
life,
can
your
waffle when
journey.
you talk, but there is not one where it's like you set an anchor video and you say what goals you want to achieve and
To
it
yourself,
replays
yeah.
again and again, like every week or every month. And then if you work towards that or you document your process like for 2 minutes each day, then you can look back and it's like a reflection of yourself. Like it doesn't have to go outside, but
100%.
you get me?
I think that there's something about speaking to a camera without people
Being
in front
there,
of you.
it's very hard.
It's like you can just be transparent and I know it's hard, but like once you get into the flow of things, you can just be naturally yourself.
Yes, 100%.
When there's people in the room, you're subconsciously changing your narrative because to fit the conversation. and you know what I mean?
Someone asked me on a TikTok live yesterday, they were like, which is your authentic voice or like your authentic way of communicating, whether it was the slang way or the like more like Queen's English.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think there is like an authentic way of communicating. I think it just depends on the
scenario,
context, right? Yeah.
It's code switching, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ability to code
100%.
switch.
Yeah, it's a life skill.
It is.
Oh, do you know what's something I discovered today that's actually quite mad? So if you want to relax, and you don't want to bun a zoo, try this. Keep going doing that,
Right.
and you'll yawn after a while. I swear to God.
But how does that eliminate the need?
So
for-
it tires you out. Like it's like the same as feeling like if you're high and you just want to go sleep or relax.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently it slows down your heart rate. It's like a yogic technique.
Like Om.
yeah. So it's like but it's like
and it makes you tired, so you
yeah, and then you yawn
don't-
after a while. Yeah. Some guy on TikTok taught me.
That's interesting. It's like I was thinking like fake yawning. Have you fake yawned in front of someone and somehow
Nah,
contagiously?
The only time is like
They'll
when
yawn.
one person yawns and then that kind of sets off a chain reaction
Yeah,
of
yeah.
making you yawn.
I find that so interesting how that's like it's contagious, isn't it?
Yes, but that's like the empathy thing. It's the same with like breastfeeding mums and prolactin. So if a newborn mother, a mum who's just had a kid, hears a baby cry, she'll start lactating, even if it's not her baby. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
because hormones respond. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like literally a biological reaction of like
So-
humans used to look after all the babies in the village. So like it was just, it made sense.
like classical conditioning.
Yeah, not even cat. I think it was just genetic, almost instinctual.
Right, I see.
Which is crazy when you think about it. There is why you feel lucky to have friends.
Why
I
you
feel
feel
grateful
lucky to
for
have
friends.
Yeah, why do you feel lucky to have
Because
friends?
it's like otherwise no one really wants to be alone, right? Like you don't want to be.
There's some people
Unless
that
you
prefer
solitude,
that.
maybe monks and like saints and people who become like the yogis in the
They
mountains.
always
Yeah.
say pick your friends.
But I think it's also about childhood
Yeah.
development. Like if you go through a very traumatic experience in school where you don't have friends, or the people you have friends snake you, or you lose trust,
Yeah.
you grow up trying to be like solitude and away from people.
100%. I think that I feel like in school that I had very minimal friends or very minimal real friends, and I think that really shaped me in understanding that you always had to be self-sufficient. You couldn't rely on other people to bring you happiness, peace, or you had to show your self-love first.
I hear you. I resonate with that. But it's a dangerous mentality to fall into because from my experience, I found it hard to put my hand out and ask for help when I needed it because no one's actually going to help me.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth.
But I think the flip side of that, is that I learned that if I built myself up to a point where I only needed people's help, where it was like a choice to need someone's help, so like I would say that like financially, physically, emotionally, all of those types of things, like feeling secure in yourself, then asking for help felt less overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? Because it didn't feel like I needed help. It felt like I was choosing to ask for help. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I hear it. Choosing to ask for help is not something that's taught to anyone.
It's a life skill. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Even in school, like the idea of putting your hand up to ask for help, I don't think that's instilled.
It's unheard of. Yeah.
Even when I work in schools, like I put my head into classroom and stuff. It's like everybody's told to just do the paper, get on with the work, and like if you've got questions, just go figure out yourself. It's not really like ask the teacher, which is a changing narrative. But
but I find it easier to ask for help for strangers. Like it depends on like say for example I feel easier like say for example in an Uber with Uber driver I can tell the Uber driver my whole life's problems.
I hear you.
And like we can chat like we can just chat about life or even like when you go like Narcotics Anonymous, bro, like it's a group of strangers and you're sat there, you're like, hi, my name's Sober and I'm an addict, just go for 2 minutes about everything going on in your life.
I hear you.
And like they're not judging you, they're just showing you love and compassion. But then when you do it with your friends or your family or whatever, you're sat there like, hey yo, what are they thinking when I'm saying what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And the fact that you'll see them the next day, it's like, oh,
there's no escaping it.
That's what I like about a therapy.
For strangers, is it the fact that you won't see them again, or
no? It's that they have there's no. Oh, how to explain this? Like it's that incentive alignment. Like a stranger's opinion of me matters so little, if that makes sense, because ultimately they're either there to be positive, but like whatever they say is a reflection of them, and I know that. Whereas like when it comes to friends and family, you almost assume because they know you, if they say something positive or negative, you feel like their view is somehow more accurate, even though oftentimes your friends and family know as little as you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like like imagine, I don't know, like I'm going to use weed as an example here, but like, say for example, I don't know, you found some loud, your friends will clap for you and they'll be like, bro, that's sick, well done, like, how'd you find that? Whereas like, if you went to a stranger, you're like, I found some cannabis today and I don't know what to do with it. They'll be like, you should probably lose it again. It might be better for you that way. And like, whose view is more accurate? The friends that you're smoking weed with or the person that you just met on the road, innit?
But then you have a bias of who you choose to listen to. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean? Like they're your friends and family?
Yeah, like prior to the conversation, going into telling someone you found loud, you already have a narrative of what you want to hear.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean?
You pick and choose who you will go for advice from if it was not a stranger.
I think so. I think it's selective.
It's like when you go to your parents for career advice, like you always think in your head like you don't want unless you want a life like your parents, right? You'd almost go like they're the worst people to go to for career advice because they're going to give me the safest option that makes them feel better. But like that is not aligned with anything I want to do or what I want to become. So it just ends up becoming this weirdly I don't want to call it toxic, but biased opinion.
I hear you. I had a weird phase growing up of stopping like communicating with my parents for problem or solutions. Because I realized that some of the solutions were outdated and very
outdated or ridiculous. I remember my dad would always just say snitch. Like anything I came to, I'll be like, I'll back my friend in a fight. Be like, okay, snitch first. And I was like, wait, what? Nah, that don't make sense. And I'll be like, this happened on the road. He'd be like, call the police. Like it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
Even on the topic of snitching, I was talking to when I was doing behavior mentoring, I was talking to the kids about it. And even like kids as young as year 7, they don't really understand the concept of like keeping themselves out of trouble. Only the idea of there's a code that you can't break.
Yeah, of course.
They don't really understand it, but they'll stick to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is, I think, is wrong. I was trying to teach them like, be a man of your own word and understand like the consequences that could happen from you snitching or not snitching or what would happen.
Yeah.
Just think for yourself, innit?
It's weird because I feel like I talked about this on a live the other day and it was like, that cultural programming existed so young. Like, I remember being in primary school knowing that I somehow couldn't tell teachers or snitch to authorities about what was actually going on in situations, So obviously it must be that pervasive that invaded our minds that young. But at the same time, it's like, I think when you're doing things with your friends, that guy who did snitch, was always almost like, I don't know, that betrayal or backstabbing or like, it's not a good look, right? But then there's limits. Like, I think if you've committed certain offences or like, I don't know, you've murdered someone, like one of us decided to just get up and murder someone right now, it's a bit of a like, well, I think telling someone or telling the authorities is the right thing to do. But when you're young, like, you're just dumb.
Like, very easily influenced. It goes back to like getting whipped by your parents and going to school knowing that you can't tell the teachers, like you shouldn't snitch because you're going to get your parents in trouble.
Yeah, but it's my sister used to get in trouble for snitching.
Is it?
Because the thing in Tamil is like undal or something. It's like, I think it means snitch, but like my sister used to be like, bro, why are you just telling them all the time?
It's so backwards. Like school tells you to snitch on people if they're in trouble.
Yeah.
But then your brethren say don't snitch. and it's like you have a moral conflict of what do
but
I
people
actually do?
also don't snitch because they know how people see them after they snitch.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
reputation thing. You don't want,
They don't
innit?
want to ruin their reputation, so they avoid snitching.
No, but some
You get
people
me?
just snitch on the sly.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
say if like the two people weren't friends, right?
Yeah.
And the person saw someone do something bad, they want to snitch, right?
Mm.
That person would then maybe feel like snitching, but then might be afraid to then snitch because that other person be like, "Why you snitch? Or why you tell me?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very
So
much
they will just go away and like do whatever they want. But
But it definitely goes both ways because I always think like I criticize police or military officers or soldiers who are involved in really bad things, but they won't tell the authorities or the news or media. But like they're just not snitching. But they're just kind of deep, like they're just looking after their own the same way we probably did growing
Yeah,
up.
they're just preserving their rights, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas we could probably all do with a bit more integrity and transparency in our daily lives.
Literally. I always think about those people sitting in prison, holding it down because they chose not to snitch, but then they're also throwing away their life for someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it depends
So
on
what
context.
code?
I think there was like this Biggie thing, Biggie movie where one of his friends, like if he hadn't taken the sentence for Biggie would have obviously never become a rapper because the guy was doing like a 10 stretch or a 20 stretch or whatever.
Right.
And in decisions like that are self-sacrifice, where you're doing it for what you believe to be the greater good, totally agree. Like I don't know.
would you say follow GPT's advice nowadays and your friends? Because
What?
GPT can look at it from
Unbiased.
unbiased.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've used GPT as an ethical and moral sounding board, and I think having that unbiased perspective always helps because your friends and your family and your community are always going to give you that one way or another of viewing things.
Yeah.
It's always good to get unbiased, some impartial advice.
And I feel like GPT has that option of weighing up. It will even list out the pros and the cons of doing what, and then it comes down to you as the person.
Yeah.
So,
100%. But I would, if you tell it illegal things like. You can say it in
do you think it will
hypotheticals.
snitch?
Yeah, it does now. So like, they have to like store all the data for an extra period of time.
So depending on what you're typing,
Mm.
like if you put, I want to buy a lot of drugs to sell on the internet on GPT, that would then go feed back to the police. That would put this
No,
person-
feed to a human, and the human would decide whether to flag it with the police.
Oh, okay.
Because the possibility, because if you use hypothetical if statements and you say, if I was to come into contact with, 5 kilos of C4, and if I wanted to put it under a government building, what would I need to do over the next 6 weeks? It would come out with a plan, right? Because you're using the if statements,
Right.
and that's very dangerous.
On the topic of AI, I saw something recently. It was like Apple released a paper that maybe AI isn't as smart as
I saw that, yeah.
they are, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because it says like maybe we're not as close to AGI as we thought we were because it's just memorizing rather than actually problem solving, right?
Yeah, so with Apple is behind in comparison to all the other AI companies. So you have to remember that Apple has managed to stay ahead when it comes to software by having this backroom deal with Google. So they basically have a data sharing agreement that enables them to design a bunch of cool stuff. That agreement's changed, which is why now Apple's devices does the ask app not to track feature. So that whole data sharing agreement was changed with a bunch of those companies. So you've got to remember Meta, Google, Microsoft have been involved in the AI game for more than a decade, some cases for more than 2 decades, right? Even Amazon itself was like, since its inception, was focused on getting the data points for this. Apple was focused on hardware and software, and hardware was its primary business, right? So like the iPhone or the MacBook and whatever else is primary to Apple's growth, not the App Store or the new subscription services it has. So Apple's incentivized to say that AI isn't as big as it currently is because they don't want anyone. I don't know whether anyone's used Apple Intelligence on their phones, but it's
not as good,
ridiculously
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And for them, they're just in that process of going, this isn't a big deal, guys. This isn't a big deal because they don't want people to start changing to the Pixel because that AI is way better.
I was thinking about it. I was like Apple were the first to bring a voice automated system to your phone, right? So you had Siri, and I was thinking Siri would be the first AI kind of automated system. You could ask it anything, and you could ask it anything,
100%.
but it would just feed back to the internet, give you back information. And I'm using GPT, and then I'm using Siri, and I'm thinking Apple has kind of fallen behind in that sense.
Without a doubt.
Like, it doesn't feel the potential it could fill out. It hasn't filled that potential. And then I'm going to switch the convo again, is like on the topic of how far we're progressing. Recently, especially this year, was like one of the trends was people talking about Blackberries again.
Yes.
And the fact that they want to switch back to using
BBM.
not BBM. They just want to
Like
use
older
the device.
tech, dumb
older
phones,
tech.
dumb
Because
phones,
it's like we're so sucked into our device and we're scrolling TikTok. There's so much useless app. Like realistically, all we need is a phone call, messaging, camera if you want to take photos, and then
Maps.
and then live in the moment really. And I feel like a device like a BlackBerry was so perfect for its time. And obviously we used it and we were messaging, everyone was messaging, but I feel like society has gone a different way where we're still messaging, but our souls are getting sucked away with probably the worst addiction that you could have. Really.
I agree. So I spent 350 quid to buy a dumb phone. It's called the Light phone. And it's like a really basic paper ink phone. You can just call, message, alarm clock. You can have a few apps on there. It was ridiculous. I literally returned it because it was so bad. But it was just slow.
Why it costs so much? Is it like they put the price point so high?
Because I think it's like tailored towards. I think what we have to remember is like most people's smartphones are used like even like I guess mine like it's work primarily, and then like social media and all that kind of stuff is like I guess the drug on the side. Like the pub on the Friday night has been replaced by the TikTok scroll, right? And I think when you look at it from the perspective of like the soul sucking, I think is the greatest example of this. Like we have instant access to pornography, we have instant access to social media, other people's lives, like negative and positive influences, and through a device that, if you think about the use hours on this, it's insane, right? Like I was like looking at my Opal, which is like a screen limiter, and it's like estimated I'll spend 19 years of my entire life on my device, And my screen time isn't that insane. It's like probably like 2 to 4 hours a day. So imagine if you're doing like, I don't know, the traditional 8 hours shift on your phone. So I think dumb phones will become a trend, but the issue is like you are saying no to the economy. Like, say for example, if you're a creator, you're not going to be able to create videos using a BlackBerry in the same way.
You could still create videos. Obviously, it's each their own. Like a lot of people carry 2 phones now. I know you're one of them to limit yourself. But it comes down to the person, really. I think a lot of people would jump on that trend because a lot of people are realizing how much of their lives are being sucked away. Even part of the when I say it's sucking our soul, I just feel like it removes a lot of people's personalities. People are going towards what other people say and becoming sheep.
100%.
We're all, maybe I speak for myself, but I'm definitely a victim for that. But like, it's like, oh, this one person's doing that, or they're talking about a show, we must watch that show. And then you fall down a rabbit hole. Just consumerism, right?
One of our interns said this, and I think it's really stuck with me. And also someone at UCL, when I gave that talk, was talking about this. They said, like, being able to take in someone's viewpoint and then give yourself the space to decide what you think about it, I think is a life skill we don't teach people. So, like, it's like, I always try to counteract that by going, I listen to people I disagree with fundamentally. So I'll listen to like far right influences, far left influences, people in the center, like, I was watching IDF videos, like videos of the Israeli Defense Force, just like talking about their views on the situation. And like what you find is then you give yourself time to think. But I think when the algorithm decides what you think, that's the danger. But it's difficult because there is good things that have come out of the internet and all this soul sucking. But I think it is soul sucking because now you can't unplug from collective consciousness. Do you know like what they call the cultural zeitgeist of our generation? So like every generation has a zeitgeist, like a theme across it, right? You know, like the boomers was like economic growth, peace, and all this type of stuff. And then with millennials, it was like economic crisis and inequality and global warming. Our generation is like we're literally like plugged into the matrix, and the only way to unplug is while you're still plugged in. Does that make sense? Like you kind of like if you imagine the Matrix film, like you know when Neo goes like. He's like plugged into that device and he's like in the Matrix world with the agents. We can't unplug because the things that plug us in are also the things we work with, the things we build with, the things, the way we access knowledge. Like not being able to Google things is scary. Like when you're having conversations, it's weird.
Because we wouldn't know anything, right?
Yeah, like I've had this at dinner, like, I don't know, say for example, like we say like, what's the population of China? And then you say like 1 billion, you say 2 billion, I say, I don't know, 1.8 billion. And like, we'll be like, and then we'll be sat there like, all right, cool, like.
How do we get the answer?
How do you get the answer? I know, we're not cool with not knowing.
Yeah, just opinions.
Is it a crazy fact that Google doesn't even know how many people there are in the world?
Yes, that's
wild, right?
There was an article written about that recently, right?
Like, we don't know how many people, because like we probably accelerated so quickly that we can't even do the proper counting checks.
Yeah, rural areas specifically, yeah. It is mental when I think about that, because it's like, if there is like extra 2 billion people, all of the bollocks we've been sold about overpopulation being a serious issue, it just shows it's not overpopulation, it's just hypercapitalism and like profit seeking. That's like causing all these issues and not actually people on the planet.
So do you think they're manipulating the statistics to benefit? Are countries are manipulating the statistics to benefit themselves or somehow? Do you know what I mean?
I think people don't know what they don't know. So I think I think it was just an accident that we miscounted people. We don't consider rural areas as important as urban areas.
Yeah.
And people in rural areas have nothing to do apart from look after their land, eat food, have kids, look after themselves, right? We're obviously a lot more fulfilling a life than what we do in urban environments.
One thing that I saw was a lot of people, they don't revisit their traumas, right? Like a lot of people have
Escape
childhood traumas, and that could be weighing down their like spiritual energy and things like that, because
That is.
they don't want to touch that. They want to look back on it, and they try to live without recognizing what made them the person they are today.
100,
And it
yeah.
could be a preventative to becoming the best version of yourself without you probably realizing. How would you tell someone to then look back on it? Would it be meditating, thinking about it, or
That's interesting. So I feel like, has anyone read The Body Keeps Score?
no?
So
I recognize the name.
So yes, like one of our like really pioneering book in psychology or like therapy and stuff, and it's so you have like the mind, the body, and then trauma gets stored in the body. So like, you know, when people get like morbidly obese or they get addicted to drugs, anything, it's trauma that's stored in the body that they haven't released. So like, say for example, like abuse victims. So the guy uses a really good example in the book where he said he went and did a sample of a bunch of guys who were taking steroids in the gym. These massive wham guys, gave them therapy, and every single one of them had been abused as a child. And when you dug down, they were these like really frightened little children, but they had built this massive persona around it of like insecurity, and like they were these huge burly muscular guys, but when they got in the therapy room, they were like children crying and like not being able to process it. And it's like somatic release is what they call it. So like, bro, like doing things like this, like shaking your body like that. Apparently that a release is short. I'm not even taking a piss.
No, I've done that before.
My
But,
therapist,
like,
yeah.
When you say your body stores like what trauma, is it because it's releasing like specific hormones and like stuff that makes your body react a certain way, or was it just?
So my therapist explained it like your brain and your mind are perception organs. So like, say for example, I don't know, like someone's horrible to you and beats you up as a child, it gets stored in you. Like it could get stored in you in different ways, like your genetic code and like how you have epigenetic changes. So based on like the hormones you're releasing, how stressful you find it, all of that kind of stuff, it can store it in different places. So like tension in your neck and your spine, but like there's similar themes, and I definitely recommend people research. It's like tension headaches and anxiety, or like self-harm, and then its relation to like anxiety and depression. ADHD as well can be a trauma response. So it's just weird, but like the body is more intelligent than the mind, because the mind is only going off what it already knows, whereas your body's evolved over like millions of years, right?
Stuff automatically, yeah.
The
Without
more in
the
touch you
mind,
are. Yeah, that's what I was like. That's what we shout at Hamish, because I'm like, or even you actually, like both you and Hamish are probably the most in touch with your bodies I know, yeah? And it's like the best way to like process and work through any trauma or negative experience is to work through it with your body, not with your mind.
100%. But I think it's a coalition of the mind, body, and
Yes,
soul.
you need obviously all three to be aligned, but you can definitely over rely on one and not the other. You can definitely like, say for example, have you heard of spiritual bypassing?
Yeah, I have. I don't
spiritual
completely
bypass?
understand the term, but I've seen it.
So it's like when people just go like you've probably met these people like, Joe, I can't fuck with this, I'm too spiritual. Like I'm just spiritual. Like I can't earn money because I'm spiritual. Or like I can't have sex because I'm spiritual. I can't ever have a wank because I'm spiritual. I can't go to a pub because I'm spiritual. Them people, yeah. So they bypass reality to be spiritual. So like a lot of the times people criticize priests or monks for this reason, saying like, what are you giving up in reality by just going in to be spiritual straight away? Then you've got like people who live in mental. I feel like this has been me for most of my life. It's like you just live in intellect. So you just learn, you read, you do that. And the world rewards this, right? So like in our current world, it's like get good grades, get qualifications, get jobs, get money. But you're just living in your mind all the time, yeah? And then if you just live in your body, you can imagine what that looks like. You're just not... Well, to be fair, maybe like the omni athlete could take this one in it, but like you're not. You're driven by the impulses of your body. So it's like, oh, I'm hungry, so I need to eat, and it's just like the mind is not controlling the body, and then the soul is just some part compartmentalized into that. But yeah, you definitely need a balance of all three. But you can't be overweighted in one because that'll ruin your life anyway. Like,
So to control your body, you would say what working out is one way of.
To control your body, you need to use your mind.
And then you said.
So it's like an interchange, right? So if you want to control your mind, you use your body.
What is that routine, discipline? Like
so
setting boundaries to understand that, like, oh, I can't do that because I need to know.
Yeah, so no, it's not even setting. So like, okay, think about this like using like Ayurvedic or Hindu principles, like meditation, breath work. Yeah, is the ways to control the body. Yeah, so you learn to tame the mind, and that will control the body. Yeah, so it's focused primarily. Yeah, but if you want to control the mind, use the body. So you use yoga. Yeah, poses, yoga, training, all that kind of stuff. Because like the mind has nowhere to run when you're controlling the body, right? And then the soul is just all of them. Like yoga just means union, and I think there's like 8 limbs of yoga. So like there's Jnana yoga, which is knowledge, Ashtanga, which is like postures. Bhakti, which is yoga with love, Raja yoga, which is the yoga of kings, and I can't remember the others. But yeah, like, there's a bunch of different limbs, but they all lead to the same place of union, if that makes sense. But if you over rely on one, like there's diagrams in that show you like what your life looks like if you over rely on one.
You create an imbalance in it.
Yeah, basically.
That speaks on the society we live in, because maybe the UK is the fact that we don't look at yoga as maybe.
Yeah, 100, yeah.
When the British went to India or colonized it and they brought it over here, they brought it as a method of stretching, maybe, or like
they just brought it as like a soccer mom's hobby. Like that's what it became, right?
Rather than maybe trying to make the
unify.
Body,
unify is the right word.
Mind, as one.
100%. All of that stuff is like so legit. Like when you dig into like that view of medicine, like the Vedas are just knowledge, and when you dig into like how to live in that sense, like it makes so much sense to us. But like it's funny because the Indian monks used to say that the West cares only about material progress, so we live in the mental world and the physical world, yeah. Whereas in India or like Sri Lanka, wherever, they said just the spiritual world. Like you go to Sri Lanka, bruv, like there's temples every 100 meters, and it's like, bruv, they ain't got a hospital, they got a temple. It makes no sense.
And you go to a temple to fix all of your healing, isn't it? You wouldn't go to the hospital.
But you used to go to the temple to educate, to learn, to heal. You do everything.
But you need a balance. Like you need the balance of all three. But it's just like I feel like in different parts of your life, maybe one takes over, the other one takes
This is so random. Again, I keep like switching topics, but like school, okay?
Yeah.
What will school be like in the next 10 years? Because I was having the discussion with my older cousin, and it was like, oh, my kid's using GPT to learn, right? But then it was just like, will that eliminate kids learning? Will it accelerate kids learning? Because it can do both, right? It can help a kid learn so much faster that the kid is already starting making apps, starting making businesses, because GPT is teaching them what they want to know at the current moment.
100.
But at the same time, if you carry on with this current school education, that kids will also become lazier, and they want to learn less, they just want to have fun because they're a kid. They don't know what.
I don't think kids want to have fun. I think kids who are controlled want to rebel. But I think if you actually just went to a kid, and you just went, what do you want to learn? They actually want to learn. But I think all people need foundations like maths, English, or not just English, languages to be able to communicate. That's a foundation. Maths is a foundation for logic and problem solving, rationality. And then you need science because all science is being able to deduce reality from like illusion, right? Now, after that, I think kids should be able to learn whatever they want. And I think AI will enable that. But I think what school will become about is like human connection, building relationship. I'm interested to hear what Vash says from like a behavior mentoring perspective, because I think the one area we fail at school right now is we don't actually teach people how to behave, socialize, and be good humans. We teach them how to be smart as hell, but we don't teach them how to be like, how do you navigate a difficult argument with your friend? How do you navigate disagreement with your parents? How do you navigate the conflict you might feel towards a sibling? Yeah, and all of these are everything every human goes through, and AI is not going to be as good at helping us navigate that and showing us the way as opposed to humans. So I think that's what I would call the hidden curriculum.
They do teach it slightly, you know, like
PSHE. We got like half an hour, an hour a week, bro.
Enough.
It's not there. It's definitely not enough. It's definitely a topic.
And the curriculum's outdated. Like the kids don't really benefit from a lot of what they learn in PSHE. and it's definitely evolving. But I think the future of the curriculum is going to massively shift, and I think AI is actually going to be beneficial in some sense.
Yeah.
Because it's going to allow the logical brain to kind of take a slight back seat.
Yep, I
Because
agree.
obviously AI is going to be doing a lot of the thinking process, and allow emotional creativity, self-development, introspection, things that should be taught in schools more,
Agreed.
where there'll
Yep.
be more space and time for it. But I don't know how the curriculum will go because we don't really have much power in what is taught to the young generations. I think it's
You do have power. So the Department for Education literally did an evidence collection, I think, in the last few weeks, right? So now AI is allowed to be used in schools. So like now teachers can use AI to mark homework, use it to mark assessment. So like when they do an evidence collection, you can actually submit this. So like you can submit a bunch of what you believe education should be, and then they aggregate all that data and use it to actually influence what education should be. So I definitely say get involved in shaping it. Like I've got the Minister for Skills email in my bag somewhere, and like I'll give it to you. Yeah, so definitely do that because like if you look at other countries, they're definitely shaping education in a way that I think we have a unique opportunity to shape education in a very nice way. But it could, if we just sit there and go like, oh, just leave it up to the old people, then it's gonna be pretty shit.
100%. What's interesting is there's going to be a whole curriculum on AI safety, AI
Yes.
ethics, and I don't know how they will teach that to, especially primary school kids when their brain is so precious. It's gonna
I think
make
it'll be
them-
ethics. I think we need to teach people ethics, morals, like that philosophy behind it. Because, like, if we think about like relativism, right? So moral relativism, the idea that all morality is relative. That's what most people think today, anyway. Yeah. So being like there is no right and wrong. It's all relative to like who you're speaking to. So like, say for example, I'm going to use extreme examples here, but like, say for example, murder is right dependent on the circumstance. So like, J. Cole's lyric, like when Osama bin Laden got shot, people were clapping and everyone was celebrating.
Yeah.
But that in the Bible it says murder, like killing a human is always wrong. Yeah. But Osama bin Laden was considered okay to kill. But like, so moral relativism is like, it's okay in that circumstance. But if I was to kill you right now, that's wrong. Yeah. And so that whole mindset is like, I would be very interested to know how kids would respond to that or how they would shape the world if we gave them moral decision making.
Yeah, word. I don't know. I think there's a lot of pressure on children as well. As the way humanity is developing, there's a lot of pressure for kids to develop and keep up with the times.
School system, it'll change, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, school is built up to make robots essentially right now. Like you need to go to this. you
Make
need to
good workers. Yeah, for sure.
So the new system would be different slightly because you have AI taking a lot of way of those working jobs, right?
Yeah.
And then it would be replaced and it's like, oh, we need to
White
start-
collar jobs for sure in our lifetime.
But then that could also make more like plumbers, mechanics, stuff like that, no? Or
I think people focus more on robotics. So I think robotics is an area kids will love. Like if kids love Lego, they're gonna love robots, right? But I think the thing that we don't realize is, and I think the bit that people get wrong, no 5-year-old says, "Mummy, Daddy, I want to be an accountant."
Yeah,
No
no.
5-year-old ever says, "Mummy, Daddy, I want to be a lawyer," right? People fit into these roles based on what they then learn about what they're socialized against. So I think what we have to reframe it is like, humans aren't produced to fulfill an economic system. Humans are produced to support the thriving of all life on this planet. And it's a simple reframe. So like, if you think how we measure success of countries today and what kids are taught, it's measured by GDP per capita, right? So what's the gross domestic product of each human being in your country? That is a stupid measure because that means that like, if you had a country of like Monaco, like everyone's a millionaire, that's a better country than the UK. That makes no sense.
and they
yeah?
don't make their money in their country sometimes, right?
Yeah, they just
Like,
bring their money over there, yeah? But what we need to measure it on is like, so there's a well-being index. So Scotland, Finland, and I want to say one other
Norway,
country.
Norway, right?
Yeah, Norway
Pretty
probably.
good.
But their well-being index, so they measure the success of the country based on health, quality of relationships, like people's happiness, like all these better traits, and they get a well-being index. Now imagine the whole world measured on well-being index. Like we would literally see school systems change, but the issue is getting us there because we'd have to get rich people to stop wanting to get more money and to get richer, which is like, yeah, I guess greed, right? But yeah.
That's unlikely.
I don't know whether it's on. I think in our generation it's likely, but it determines by. So you know what you're saying about kids feeling that pressure. I think that pressure is actually on us, like the people in their 20s in this generation, because I meet like Like obviously you guys are the exception to the rule, right? But like most people I meet of this age are just like, I want to get rich.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like fuck the environment, fuck all people. I want to get rich, and it's just
Yeah.
me. That's why they're depressed, they're anxious, and also they're struggling to integrate in the world because like nobody got ahead by just thinking about I or me in it.
I think most people do want to get, like, not everyone.
Yeah.
There's definitely people who just want to fulfill themselves. Like, I definitely would prefer fulfilling myself, having a happy family, than being rich.
But you're the you guys are the
But
exceptions to the rule, innit?
I would love to be rich at the same time, if that
Of
makes
course.
sense. Because then that eliminates one of the major problems that I
I
have.
agree, yeah.
'Cause then if I have money, then I have the freedom to then build and develop all the other areas that of my life that maybe weren't as developed. Whereas we live in a society where money is such a
I agree.
need and thing that you want to max out that first before thinking about anything else. And I think that's why a lot of rich people are unhappy, because they're so driven on that point rather than focusing on.
I agree. I
anything
think
else.
there's like a portion of life that is great for that. I think from like 18 to 25 is amazing for that. I think post 25 becomes this almost race to the bottom because you meet people like I always ask people this, what's the amount of money you need to start chasing what you want to live in your life, yeah? People say ridiculous numbers like millions of pounds. Really and truly, you need like 20 to 100,000 pounds. I say like that because the younger you are, 20,000 pounds is actually enough to sustain you for a substantial period of time, yeah? If you're living at home with your parents or if you live in low cost accommodation, whatever else. But I think there's that balance of people's views of wealth are insanely unrealistic based on like Andrew fucking Tate and his Bugatti. Like that whole mindset is broken. But like a lot of young men think that in order to have a romantic relationship, you need that much money. In order to be like, to pursue your dreams and be happy, you need that much money. And like, this goes to young people generally. And I think like, you do get young people with your guys' mindset. And it's also that thing of like, what do you do with your money once you get it? But like the fact that money is just an exchange for value and you have to make a sacrifice. I forgot I say this to who I say this to, but like, you have to choose what you sacrifice for something else. And I remember like in my early 20s, like, it was no social life. Like I had no social life. And that then allowed me to make the sacrifices to then go, okay, cool. When I got to 24, 25, I could choose what I did for work and was optional to have a job versus do what I wanted to do. But if you don't make the sacrifice, then what you want will never come, if that makes sense.
I think we live in a generation that prioritizes external validation way more
Over,
than
yeah,
internal.
100%. Yeah,
But
totally
then
agree.
It also does come down to life experiences, right? Like, I think if you have certain life experiences a lot younger, you're more likely to then grow up and become 18, 19 to think about other stuff because
Yes.
you've relatively had those experiences already.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of people go uni and they're chasing like alcohol, girls, because maybe they don't
Yeah,
have that at a younger age.
yeah. I hear you.
And their values are different. If you're sheltered, then you might want to
Yes.
live live like do different experiences, whereas if you've had it tough and you've understood that, oh, this is what I need money, you might be more willing to sacrifice that social aspect because you realize it's not actually worth it. It's like it's better to then go put the time into this to then go get a better life, and then when I come to a better point in my time, maybe go out, try find those relationships.
It's interesting because I feel like for me that it was from school. Like I think at school, like when I was like after QE, so when I got kicked out of grammar school, went to Cannons, and there was like this whole dynamic in my sixth form of me going like, all right, cool. If I just like, I didn't really like social events. Like once in a while were great, but like not focusing primarily on social events and focusing on getting like working, studying. But then obviously studying was a pointless goal when I think about it in hindsight. But like that mindset of like, oh, okay, if I wake up at 5 a.m. every day and study from 5 till 8, that means I don't have to study from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. Like these like simple opportunity cost calculations in your brain kind of do that. And then uni was like part of the drugs and the drinking, yeah? Like I think if you had to look at it as like thing, it's like well, for me at uni, I saw the disparity of wealth. Like I had really rich white middle class friends who like lived in like country manors in Kent or wherever, and their lives were just different. Like their lives were way better than the life that I was living as a working class kid. Yeah. And I think that gave me like I was class conscious when I was younger, but like once you become aware of what the realm of possibility is, you then kind of have a duty to chase it, or you can be ignorant of it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. But you're right. I guess more difficult life experiences do lead to you being more willing to make those sacrifices.
Would there be a stat of like, if you come from a more difficult life experience, you end up being more of a hard worker, grinding for stuff? But
it's actually the opposite. Social mobility is harder the lower down you are on the class ladder. So like it's
Obviously
harder
moving
to go up. Yeah.
moving up, but then you definitely get the oddballs that are like hustling the whole life, right?
Yeah,
And
but that's survivorship bias. So like it's like when we always look at this with entrepreneurship, the majority of entrepreneurs are fail. Rich did not shout us.